All right, so today on Stories with Steve is when T gets his revenge. Now, this takes place in the 90s, mid 90s to be exact. All right, the main character here is a guy named T. He's originally from the West Farms area of the Bronx, but he's going to school in the Pelham Parkway section of the Bronx, right? Basically, T, he'll fight, but he's more of a lover than a fighter. He's more trying to get at the ladies. Now, he's going to school with a girl named Kay. Now, Kay, right? They're just having normal, cordial interactions, talk, joke around. They're going to the same school, maybe talking about a class, a homework, or whatever. But he's not really trying to get at her like that, right? He's not trying to wife her up, not trying to smash. He's just having cordial conversations with Shorty. Now, apparently, she had a man. She never let T know. But again, T wasn't pushing up on her like that. So why would he even need to know? Now, apparently, K was possibly feeding this man information and possibly some falsehoods about T, right? Now, T, a lot of the times, before he'd go back home to the West Farms area, he'd hang around on Pelham Parkway, maybe Allerton, maybe Burke with different people he knew, right? Now, this girl boyfriend lived on like AD Avenue. And that's for you don't know that side of the Bronx, that's kind of between Allerton and Burke, right? There's a few blocks between Allerton and Burke. There's Allerton, Arnold, AD, and then Burke. So her boyfriend lives over there. Now, one of these days where T is just chilling before he go home, he's on one of these blocks chilling. Now, unbeknownst to him, he didn't even know this dude really existed like that. But apparently the dude knew about him, what he looked like, you know. So T's just chilling in front of a store, minding his business, and dude come up pressing. Yo, you was talking to my girl. T's like, what girl? I go to school with a lot of girls. I know a lot of girls. What girl? Nah, you talking to my girl. All emotionally and hurt, this dude was like, I don't know. I don't know what he thought T was doing to her. You know what I mean? But so they get into fighting, right? Dude swings on T, T ducks, T swings, they're swinging back and forth, hitting each other. Now, T wore glasses, right? At this point in time, this is before, contact lenses were all the rave and a lot of people had them. So he had prescription glasses on. Now, when they were scrapping, the glasses had fell off. So T is temporarily blinded at the moment. So he goes to go pick up his glasses to regain his sight to get back into the squabble. So while he's searching, looking for his glasses, this bozo, right? This bozo sees him and knows he can't see. And this is one of the boyfriend's mans because he had to bring his whole little crew to fight one guy. Yeah, you a gangster. So while T is going to retrieve his glasses, this bozo cheap shots him. So he's bent over looking for his glasses. This dude kicks him in the eye. Now this dude wasn't even involved in the fight. He was just a friend of the boyfriend and like a spectator. But he had to do a cowardly cheap shot and he kicks T in the eye. Right? Then these weirdos take off. They do the 100-yard dash. So when T finally finds his glasses, nobody's around. His eyes hurting like a son of a bitch. And he's trying to figure out, what the hell, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's another key part. There's a girl. She live on AD too. But she a different type of girl. Now, she had a crush on T. She had a crush on one of my homeboys too. She had a thing for dudes that was skinny and had glasses. If you was slim and you had glasses, she liked you and she wanted you. Right? But she wasn't the best looking girl. But she was a gangster. So she finds out that T, one of the guys that she has a crush on, basically got, into a fight, borderline jumped, got cheap shot in the eye. The guys did the 100-yard dash after their cowardly interaction with T. And now she's heated. Now, she wasn't born and raised on AD Avenue. She's from Soundview, right? She's from Soundview, you know what I mean? Like, her zone high school would have been Stevenson, right? She's from SMM land, if you get my drift, right? So she knows a whole bunch of people over there. And she has a crush on T. Even though he's not reciprocating the feelings, she's feeling some type of way, right? So T's going to his normal things, you know, trying to find maybe people he knows in the Pelham Parkway or Alton area to get at these people, you know, whatever, or they get a fair one, or he gets the guy to cheap shots him, or maybe get some guys from West Farms to help him out. This girl's like, no, I got you, right? This girl calls up whoever. So that following week, she had put the call in to get T's revenge. And she went and got what I can only describe as some giant mutant blood dudes. I mean, these were no average size folks. They had girls with them that were like 6 foot something, you know, 250 pounds of muscle and fat and boxing skills, right? So she got this angry group of mutant bloods who just they just wanted to beat people. They had no other like enjoyment in life. And she called them and they came through. So now they hunting for the boyfriend, the guy who kicked them in the eye, or for that matter, anybody from that block, right? Because the dudes that did this were from like AD and Barnes. So they're looking for anybody from AD and Barnes. I mean, good thing they just didn't randomly get any innocent folks. So they hunting, right? T's with them, right? They hunting. Now, just so happened, Mr. Cheap Shot happens to be walking down the avenue. He's walking down the avenue, and he happens to see some girl he knows or whatever, so they stop, they chit-chat. Now, at this point, T and the big mutant bloods from Soundview, right? Like I said, these dudes were like, you know, if you took like a football player, a basketball player, and a wrestler, you mixed them into one, even the girls. Even the girls, like they were put in a tremendous amount of pain and damage, right? So they hunting. They're looking for anybody from that block or anybody that resembles the guy who kicked them in the eye or the boyfriend. So Mr. Cheap Shot now is busy talking to a girl. He doesn't know there's a group of people hunting for him, right? He's probably cheap shotted a bunch of people, got away with it or whatever. So he's talking to the girl, and it just so happens they're starting to come up the block. They see him, all right? So T walks up to him first, like, hey, why'd you cheap shot me? Blah, 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 blah. The guy doesn't know the mutants are nearby. The mutants were like walking slow. So while they're talking back and forth, he doesn't realize that in back of him, he's got 5 to 6 to 7 extremely large, extremely muscular, and some of them overweight males and females that look like they were basically raised to just do damage. So they circle this idiot. The bozos circle. And add on top of that, this guy was like a fraudulent kind of wannabe blood too at the time too, Mr. Cheap Shot. Now he kind of was swagger jacking that movement, but never really joined. So he had a red and black do-rag on, a hat with a B on it, da-da-da. So at first they press him on that. And he's like, no, I just like the do-rag and the hat, you know. I listen to Tupac. Which none of this was helping him in any situation. So then the biggest, all the mutant dudes, turned over to T and goes, hey, you want to hit him or you want us to hit him? T smiles, y'all hit him. They pummeled this dude. I mean, they cracked 40 ounces over his head. They kicked him, they punched him. The girls were hitting him with left and right blows and kicks to the face. The guys were hitting him. This guy was turning into a puddle of Nutella, just smushed on the floor, right? The guy who cheap shot him now, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know where his hands are at. He doesn't know if his head is still attached to his body, right? Now, I guess one of the Mr. Cheap Shot's older homies, came over and started cursing in Spanish, walking towards the situation. Like, hey, and cursing. One of the mutants was like, gave him the uppercut from like hell. Dude go flying back. And I mean, when they hit this dude with the 40 ounces, they weren't even drinking them. They were just carrying them as weapons. There was glass shards on top of like apartment and house windows. That's how hard they hit the guy. So the guy eventually, after the mutants and T had left, the guy eventually gets up off the floor with the help of the guy who woke up from being knocked out unconscious. And he eventually gets up off the floor. He's got a bloody ring around his eye, his nose over there, his lips are going that way, his ears upside down. He's awful. So, and that guy never really recuperated from it after T got his revenge. He stopped trying to be a thug. He stopped listening to rap music. He stopped smoking weed. And he had that ring around his eye for a number of years. Like you would see him in between Pelham Parkway and Gun Hill, Burke, Allerton. You would see the guy with the ring around his eyes. And he looked like that dog that had the ring around his eyes on a picture of human. Then he was growing breasts. I don't know if they hit him so hard that his testosterone went down and his estrogen went up. But he had a ring around his eyes and not like a chubby man kind of breast, like women's breasts. Like he was developing breasts. So I don't know what part of his brain they hit with that damn 40-ounce bottle and the kicks and the punches, but they knocked his whole equilibrium off. The guy never recuperated or recovered from it. But that's when T got his revenge on Mr. Cheap Shot. And the boyfriend, nobody seen him either. I guess he seen what happened to his homeboy and was like, I'm out of here.